Welcome back. We need to talk about what's happening in the Trump White House right now, because this is one of the few times you can actually see Trump panic in real time and change his core message. And it is all because of the recently released Epstein documents. A whole new batch, a whole bunch of records that, according to sources, Trump had desperately hoped would never see the light of day. The evidence that the president is truly rattled comes from someone who knows him better than almost anybody outside of his own family, his own biographer, Michael Wolff. Wolff is reporting that Trump is in a complete and total panic, lost and fundamentally without a plan. The cycle of his reaction over just a few days tells us everything we need to know. Stage 1, silence. Initially, he went completely quiet. Stage 2, loud, angry denial. Then he went loudly and angrily on the defensive. Stage 3, the reversal. And most recently, he said, actually, we should release all the Epstein files. That progression, silence, rage, and sudden transparency is the tell. It shows a man not in control, but desperately trying to get ahead of a story he knows he can't stop. Just a quick recap of the kind of content that dropped last week. We saw records suggesting Epstein believed he had the power to take down Trump. We saw mentions of Epstein bragging that he once offered his ex-girlfriend to Trump. And there are accounts of Trump allegedly spending hours with a victim at Epstein's residence. This is not political hearsay. This is deeply concerning information. Now, for a moment, the president's base, the most ardent MAGA supporters, tried to play it down. They pushed the line, these might be doctored, this isn't a big deal, it's an anti-Trump conspiracy. I believe this initial downplaying by his allies is what prompted Trump's dramatic Stage 3 reversal. He looked at the terrain, saw the files were leaking anyway, and realized if his own people aren't even defending him convincingly, the political calculation is to switch sides. Suddenly, he is the champion of transparency. But the truth is, the White House itself is in meltdown mode. Michael Wolff, speaking on the Trump Head podcast, explained that this is unlike anything Trump has faced so far. There is no existing political playbook. The staff is in paralysis. Wolff reports that many White House staffers don't even want to review the new records. Why? Because they're worried that simply being the person who reads the documents might somehow implicate them, drawing unwanted attention from investigators or the press. This speaks to a deeply toxic and fear-driven internal culture. The White House is struggling because the gravity of the situation is leading to one conclusion: inevitability. These files, or some version of them, are going to come out. The question is no longer if, but how and when. And that's what led to Trump's internal calculus. Do you stay on the side of don't release them until you're forced to? Or do you try to look strong by pretending to be on the side of transparency? He chose the latter. The core problem is that for the Trump White House, there's no script for this. Their political strategy relies on a few well-tested playbooks. Immigration. Democrats want open borders, free healthcare for undocumented people. It's all Biden's fault. Inflation. Biden inflation. My tariffs were so good. It's all a conspiracy. In both those cases, there's a clear scapegoat. Biden, Obama, the Democrats. But with the Epstein documents, you are arguing against Epstein's own words. To contradict the records, you have to argue it was a deep state plan to get Trump, Epstein was lying, or it's all fabricated. It's a complex, ugly defense, and the president has no consistent strategy for it. Let's look at the big picture for a moment. People often think presidents collapse because of one massive, defining event. A war, a major recession, a national security crisis. But the collapse often starts smaller. Now, the Epstein situation is, in its totality, huge and terrible, especially regarding the victims. But with regard to the power structure, the initial problem can be a small leak, an ugly document no one wants to touch, a little lie. And from there, the power structure starts to rot from within. It loses its confidence, and then it collapses in on itself. This is what I've talked about before as a Plato's warning, not the Plato you give to kids, but the ancient philosopher Plato. He warned against leaders chosen for the wrong reasons. Trump was chosen politically for the wrong reasons. He built his movement on rage, grievance, and scapegoating rather than on competence, ethics, or moral authority. And what happens when the chosen leader is built on those things? He built a political world where loyalty is everything. But this is the kind of scandal, a deeply disturbing, morally corrosive scandal where most people, not all, but most people, do not want to stay loyal. If these records are as bad as they appear, the entire project, the entire political movement may go down with him. So, to summarize the present state of the crisis, Trump is cornered. The White House staff is terrified and looking for the nearest exit. And, of course, his political adversaries smell blood in the water. We are seeing unprecedented unity on the other side of the aisle in demanding absolute transparency. But the most telling reaction is coming from his supposed friends and political allies. They are suddenly remembering what their lawyers' names and phone numbers are. They are getting on the phone very quickly, making sure they are not caught in the splash damage. The great test of a political project is not how it performs during a political fight over taxes or healthcare. It's how it performs when facing a moral abyss. And right now, the Trump project is failing that test. We need to keep a close watch on the people who go quiet now, the people who were loudest in their loyalty just a few weeks ago, but are now suddenly finding reasons to skip the Sunday shows. Those are the people who know how bad this is. So where does this go? I don't know the ultimate destination, but I know the initial path. Trump's initial silence, followed by his rage, and then his desperate political reversal to demand release, that cycle says more than any proactive, well-scripted speech he could ever give. It tells you he is deeply personally terrified of what is in those documents. And when the leader of an entire movement is operating from a place of personal fear rather than a strategic position, mistakes are inevitable. More leaks will happen. The White House will fracture further. The rot will continue. The narrative is shifting from a political fight to a moral one, and that is a narrative Trump has never been equipped to win. We need to continue to cover this sequentially, piece by piece, as more facts become available. We will be covering every new development right here. This is a rapidly changing story that will have a profound effect on the political landscape. If you want to make sure you get all of our analysis and stay ahead of the curve as this crisis unfolds, you need to be part of our community. Please take a second right now to hit that subscribe button on the channel and turn on notifications. Your support keeps us independent and able to bring you the truth when the powerful want it hidden. Subscribe now.